All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Greetings to my gardeners. Hello to my preppers and salutations to my silver stackers. We're going to talk today. I got a fun little project here. We're going to talk about cash versus precious metals versus stocks. Okay. So let's just kind of talk about the time period between, say, October 2007 to October 2020. And I think you guys are going to be interested in this. Stay with me now. All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with me. So if you're new to the channel, I release content twice a week. Always something related to the prepping community. So we talk a lot about precious metals versus fiat currency, possible economic collapse. We talk about self-sufficiency through gardening and food production. We talk about financial survival and getting through tough times. And we talk about product reviews and other prepping related content, just overall modern day survival. So I'm very glad to have you. If you're new to the channel, please consider giving a subscribe. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. Please consider giving a like. Before we get into the topic of today, just a quick shout out to one of my favorite comedy channels out there. So if you guys are not already following PJ McFadden, I really strongly recommend that you give him a view. PJ is from Ireland, but he does some content related to travel vlogs. He does a little bit of fitness stuff, just general mindset and, daily day-to-day living. But he always makes it fun and funny. I am guaranteed if I click on one of his videos that he is going to make me smile and laugh. So I will put a link to his channel down in the description. So that being said, let's get on to the topic of today. So let's talk about cash versus metals versus stocks. All right, and let's go in the order from left to right. So some of you in my precious metals community, I know you're not going to be happy about this because there are some of you out there that are 100% metals. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. If you want to give me a dislike at the end of this, I understand, but hear me out. All right, so let's talk about cash. So from the preparedness community, right, I would actually tell you that this is the first thing that you all should be, by the way, if you've never seen euros, let's take a quick look at this. This is the first thing that you should be trying to stack up, right? So you should be paying down your debt and you should be working on putting back some emergency cash, right? And the purpose of the emergency cash is to help you survive all of those uncertain situations that come along that can affect your, your quality of life. So we're all going to have some kind of medical emergency, or most of us are going to have some of us are going to be dealing with a layoff at some point in your life. I know I had to deal with one when a program that I was working for got shut down and I was out of work for 6 months. Maybe you've got a small business out there. My wife and I operate 2 small businesses, and there's going to be fluctuations right now since this pandemic has gone on. My wife's business has been all but shut down. She's a baker. So we have had very, very little income coming in on her side of it. And you want to have some emergency cash put aside to deal with those situations. The car repairs. I've got a brother who lives in Arizona, and what if he calls me up and he says, dude, I've got an emergency going on. I've got a medical problem. I need some help. Can you fly out here? What am I going to do? You're going to put that on your credit card? Because this is how people get into problems. And I'm not trying to criticize anybody. Been there, done that, right? So, you start with one little emergency. I'm just going to put this plane ticket on my credit card. Well, I'll pay it off over the next couple months. Well, guess what happens, right? Then another emergency comes along before you've paid that off, right? So then what happens? Next thing you know, you're $10,000 in credit card debt. Again, I'm not criticizing anybody out there. Been there, done that, right? So that's why you stack some cash. And we're going to do a whole separate video on what I'm talking about, right? So if you follow Dave Ramsey, I do Dave-ish, which he hates. I don't think you need 6 months or 8 months. I think 3 months. And I also don't think you need to have your full income for that amount, right? But look, I'll do a whole separate video talking about that. And so watch for that. Again, if you're not subscribed, this is a good chance to subscribe because you don't want to miss that video. It's going to be really interesting. How much emergency cash do you really need? Okay. And the other reason to stack cash is once you've got all your several months worth of your emergencies covered, what's going to be your next plan of attack? Do you, if you see a big dip in this or this, are you going to have enough of this put aside to jump on it, right? Because you can really do much better than dollar cost averaging if you know how to buy low, sell high, okay? Let's get into that in a little bit here. So let's go on to the metals. Everybody understands that, right? So let's go on to the metals. So, well, before we go on to metals, one more thing. Okay, so I looked at the time period between October 2007 and October 2020, right? So basically I took recession to recession, and in between we had a really nice bull market of growth. All kinds of stocks were doing well. The economy was doing really well. Our unemployment went really low. So from the period of October 2007 to October 2020, if you had $1,000, your buying power actually has decreased, right? So that's what you need to know is if you stack too much cash, you're actually losing money. What? What are you saying, Sarge?
Stack too much cash, you're actually losing money. That's what you need to know is if you stack too much cash, you're actually losing money.
Yeah, you are actually losing money because of inflation. By just sitting in the bank, through inflation, the value of this is deteriorating over time, okay? So the value of $1,000 between October 2007 and October 2020 in terms of what you can buy, what you could buy for $1,000 then would now cost you $1,253.57.
What you could buy for $1,000 then would now cost you $1,253.57.
Okay? Just keep that in mind. I'm not saying don't stack cash. I'm a firm believer in stacking cash, but you need to know you're losing money by just having this sitting in the bank. Let's talk metals. All right, so if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I love my precious metals, right? So I am a very strong believer that this should be part of your investment portfolio. I also am a strong believer that this should not be all of your investment. This should not be 100% of your investment portfolio. And we're going to talk about that when we get to this one. How did silver do during that same time period from October 2007 to October 2020? Well, in October 2007, the price per ounce of silver was $13.41. Now, something very interesting happened during this recession where silver did spike way up, right? That's a little bit outside the curve here. If you were smart enough to sell some of your stack during that time period, like if you'd been buying silver and stacking it, sold it when it was at its peak of, what was it? It peaked at $47.15 per ounce in April of 2011. If you had sold a portion of your stack then, you would have made a nice profit. What happened after that? Well, when the economy started to pick up again and people started going back into this one here, we'll come back to that in a second. When people started going back into the stocks, the price started to tank on silver. So this is what happens. So people either start to go into the safe commodities, like precious metals, or they'll go into the more stuff that's a little bit more risky, like we can leave that up, the S&P 500, right? So the price went back down. It came all the way back down to, January of 2016. It was back down to $13.86 per ounce. Okay, so didn't quite deteriorate as much as this one did, right? But it came back down from its high quite a bit, and that is sometimes going to happen. Now, what is it at today? Well, funny you should ask. So in October of 2020, we're sitting around $25. It's fluctuating quite a bit, but it's been going from, say, $24 to $26. So let's split the difference there. We're going to call it $25. So what happened if you had bought, let's say $1,000 of silver at 13? What did we say it was? At 13.41. Let's do the calculations on that. Divided by 1341. So that's 74.57 ounces. Okay, then we're going to take that and now let's multiply it by today's price. And this just gives you a rough idea. Obviously, there's fees and things like that. So we're going to multiply that 74.57 times 25, we'll call it $25 an ounce. And that would have made you, so if you sold it, taking out the stuff that's going to throw it off, ballpark, you would have made $1,864.28. So your profit would have been $800.64. I'm sorry, $864.28 off of this guy. Okay, that ain't too shabby. That definitely beat this, didn't it? Okay, now let's take a look at this final one here. Let's talk about stocks, right? And let's talk specifically about the S&P 500. And I will show you some of my favorites here at the end. So stay with me. I'll show you some of my favorites. But let's talk about specifically the S&P 500. Oh, we got a lot of reflection there, huh? Sorry about that. Let me try killing the ring light here. See if that helps. All right. Not really. Okay. So S&P 500, if you had invested $1,000 in S&P 500, now this is roughly, okay, because what you need to know again is the stocks that are in here do change, right? So this is just going to give you a rough idea. October 2007, the S&P 500 was valued at $1,554.41. And right now, the S&P 500 is valued at $3,477.13. So this one here, it's more than double. This one here, if you had invested $1,000 in the S&P 500, it would have more than doubled, roughly. I mean, there's factors here. We're giving you a rough idea. So this one did the best. This one did pretty darn good because it almost doubled, and this one lost money, right? So which one is best? Well, you really need all three, okay? You really need all three. You absolutely need this for your emergency situations and to take advantage of when this one drops and this one drops. This one is, your hedge against inflation. It just gives you a tangible asset, which these are not tangible, right? So that's another factor. This is an advantage that this one has over this one. This one you hold in your hand. This one is, once you have it, it has some anonymity to it, right? So, how many of these do you have in your bank vault or in your safe that you've got buried under the house or whatever, right? How many of those? Nobody knows except for you. You're the only one who knows that, right? So that's a huge advantage. And these here, if something, let's say worst case scenario, right? We have like a Great Depression kind of thing, and these completely start to tank. How much money are you going to get back out of there? Pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. This one you've got physically in your hand. And that's assuming that the situation's not so bad that you can actually get that money out, okay? In the comment section down below, I want you to tell me which one do you prefer, cash, metals, or stocks? And I'm going to give you, just to end this out here today, I want to show you some of my favorites here because I know some of you are probably curious. The stocks I'm going to show you here right now, sorry, we'll get this in focus. The stocks I'm going to show you here right now, these are stocks that are in my perma stack, right? I never sell these, okay? And I go for big companies that are well known, that are able to survive recessions, and I do like to have something that gives back to the shareholders a little bit, okay? So we got first one there is AT&T, Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, 3M, Archer Daniels, Caterpillar, Coca-Cola. That's a REIT. They own real estate and they give you a dividend off of that. Cisco Corporation, they do a lot of the food service stuff. Okay. Emerson Electric, there's one of my energy companies. I've got a few energy companies here. Amcor. Apple. Apple's one of those companies that I love. And Apple's been on sale, y'all, because people are panic selling Apple. Grab you some Apple while it's still low. You got Dominion, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Duke Energy, Microsoft, and Tesla. I actually don't own any Tesla right now. I'm just kind of tracking that one. So those are my perma stack on my stocks. All right. And tell me what, and if you feel like it, tell me what stocks you like right now. All right, let's go ahead and put that one down. I think that's going to do it for today. I really appreciate you watching. This is probably one of my longer videos. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.